Using one of these. So thank you for joining Nick and I this afternoon. To introduce myself briefly, I head up digital entertainment product management for Virgin Media, which essentially is running our TV service in life, the TiVo product and the TV Anywhere product. So my role is broad. It ranges from the basic product management across promotion and editorial of content, and more importantly is what we're talking about today, advertising, sales and operations. And I'm here with Nick Troiano, who is the CEO at the US-based ad technology company Blackarrow. And we're going to talk a little bit about DAI, addressability, and how it's revolutionizing the TV industry. So for those of you that don't know Virgin Media very well, we're part of Liberty Global, the world's largest cable network, 27 million customers in 12 European countries, covering 52 million homes. We're the UK's first quad-play provider, supplying broadband, TV, mobile and home phone services to over 5 million customers, of which approximately 17% already take all 4 of those services. In an industry that's rapidly converging, with the acquisition of EE by BT, the discussions between O2 and Telefonica, Virgin Media are really leading the charge with a superior quad-play proposition already in the marketplace. Virgin Media offers super-fast broadband to over half of all UK homes, with speeds up to 152 meg and entry-level at 50 meg, as well as market-leading connectivity to thousands of public and private sector organisations across the country. According to Ofcom, we're also the UK's fastest consumer broadband. In addition to our market-leading broadband service, we offer the most advanced connected television service in the UK with our partner TiVo, and have a fantastic mobile business voted MVNO of the Year twice in 2014. So as this is connected, the TV Connect conference, let's dig a bit deeper into our TV service. We have just under 3.8 million TV customers in the UK, and 68% of those customers now have TiVo. In 2010, TiVo revolutionized Virgin Media's TV service, bringing together recommendations, intelligent search, and as an internet-enabled set-top box, a wealth of apps and games from Netflix to keep fit. In 2012, we launched Virgin TV Anywhere, which is now the UK's most comprehensive live TV on-the-go product, and completed our superior TV offering. So Virgin Media's TV service is available in 12.6 million of the total 26.7 million UK homes. But as I'm sure you're aware, we announced earlier this year a £3 billion investment plan to expand our network, adding an additional 4 million homes over the next 5 years. Project Lightning is the single largest investment in broadband infrastructure in the country for more than a decade, creating thousands of jobs and an £8 billion boost to the economy. This investment shows that Virgin Media's commitment as a leading communications and entertainment provider, and that it's not just the technology that interests us, but what matters is how it can improve the lives and prospects of everyone. So what is it that makes Virgin Media the place to watch TV? Our 3.8 million TV customers enjoy the most established video-on-demand service in the UK, with the content they ask for, no buffering, no downloading, just all the content they want, truly on demand. NTL and Telewest launched a VOD service in around 2005, and the formation of Virgin Media brought these two platforms together. With just about 40 hours of content on day one, the platform's grown exponentially over the last 10 years. We now have many thousands of hours of content from all of the leading VOD providers in the UK, and have brought exciting partners onto the platform, such as Netflix and BBC iPlayer, to aggregate the best of all on-demand content services together for our TV customers. Due to the breadth and depth of content on our VOD platform, we have an extremely high active penetration of our customer base, with around about 68% of all TV customers actively using our VOD services. We are experiencing year-on-year growth in usage. Our on-demand services in 2014 saw 1.2 billion views, representing 9% growth on 2013, and really reflective of just how important VOD is to our customers. To top it all off, in the next couple of months, we'll celebrate our 100 millionth movie rental from the Virgin Movies transactional VOD service since its launch in 2005, which really is a fantastic number. Finally, in order to support the growth of on-demand, we have been working closely with many of our partners to help effectively monetize this content using our dynamic ad insertion platform since 2011, and we're now delivering approximately 300 million ad views annually. Clearly, TV is going through a huge transformation with the rapid expansion of connectivity and the dramatically increased penetration of smart devices, mobile phones, tablets, games consoles, and smart TVs. According to a ThinkBox A Year in TV 2014 report, viewing on other screens grew 17% compared to the previous year, which is resulting in a 4.7% decline in traditional TV set viewing. These evolutionary technology advancements have led to the creation of an on-demand content offerings outside of the traditional TV live experience and have educated the consumer market that they can watch what they want and when they want to. All of these factors have resulted in year-on-year growth of on-demand viewership. According to Ofcom's Communication Market Report in 2014, unique programming requests for long-form VOD increased by 38% between H2 2012 and H2 2013. And as we go forward, this trend is set to increase. More content shifts to on-demand, libraries growing, windowing changes taking effect, new services, 30-day catch-up, all introduced. VOD becomes a channel differentiator. These shifts in behavior are ultimately driving down linear viewing. And according to recent ThinkBox research, 88% of total TV set viewing in 2014 was watched live versus 89% in 2013. The numbers might not seem huge, but there is clearly a trend developing that creates the need for a change in advertising strategy for broadcasters that previously relied on traditional TV advertising. So linear broadcast advertising revenues are under increasing pressure from this shift to VOD viewership. It's an ongoing challenge that we regularly discuss with our broadcast partners. That being said, overall TV advertising revenues are still growing, up 6% year on year. But digital ad spend is growing much faster at 14% year on year and is forecast to overtake TV by 2016. So why is this? Why is digital growing quicker than TV? There are two key drivers behind the rapid expansion of digital. Firstly, the ability to measure effectiveness of campaign performance on a digital platform. Click subtract, third-party tracking is easily implemented, and cookies mean an advertiser knows where the consumer came from and where they went to after interacting with the ad. Marketing budgets give priority to digital as it drives clear, credible, and measurable ROI. To date, traditional linear TV advertising has been sold on a GRP TVR basis with no clear attribution, and big screen VOD has lacked capabilities to dynamically manage, track inventory, and react in real time. Second reason why digital looks to be growing quicker than TV is the rise of big data. The emergence of data technology and the industry-wide focus on data has enabled much greater targeting capability, allowing advertisers to reach more specific audiences, but as yet only via the digital channels. In order to boost the growth of TV advertising, we need to find a way to bring digital capabilities and advanced data targeting to the world of big screen VOD. So what can the broadcasters do to protect and grow their advertising revenues? They need to embrace big screen VOD. Adapting to consumer demand is absolutely critical. The broadcasters need to expand their VOD offerings, introduce catch-up services, deeper archives, and invest in original content. This is, after all, how the consumer now expects to consume their content. Secondly, they need an effective and deliverable monetization strategy focused on VOD. And as an industry, we need to create the right ecosystem for advertisers, broadcasters, and platforms to establish an effective audience measurement standard for the big screen VOD viewership and advertising. We all know this is a huge challenge and one that Barb in the UK is working on, but it is critical that we come together as an industry to drive this forward. So from a platform perspective, we as Virgin Media will play a strategic role in supporting the monetization of this change in consumer behavior. Virgin Media are well positioned to support this evolution of the advertising value chain, which we are already a part of, but given that we own the screen, the delivery, the data of the customer, and the experience, we can now bring together all of these elements to drive increased value and monetization of big screen VOD. Nobody else can bring to the table what a platform can, as we have not only the full breadth of usage data, but the customer data also. We segment our customers, we know who they are, we know what they do, and we know what they love to watch. Add this to our capability to offer multi-platform reach via our TV Anywhere product, Virgin Media can bring multiple benefits to advertisers, broadcasters, and our customers that have been previously untapped. It's also worth noting that this framework's not just limited to dynamic ad insertion on VOD, but could also easily extend to addressable linear ad replacement across multiple platforms over time. So looking ahead to the future, as a platform, we are at the heart of and driving convergence. As customer propositions bring together products that were previously separate, this also brings together all of the interactions our customers make across their daily connected lives, producing an amazing amount of insight that can be used to increase the value of advertising. As an example, our customers produce 4 billion lines of data a day from their interactions with TiVo. They make 7 billion minutes of voice calls and send 7 billion text messages every year, and use a whopping 6.7 billion megabytes of mobile data. To top this off, our network delivers 2.5 trillion web views per year. Think about a scenario where a TV campaign results in a customer making a phone call to a car dealership or booking a test drive online. The data that we can access pulls the results of this TV campaign together, regardless of where the initial interaction with the campaign come from. A truly exciting proposition for advertisers. So all of this results in benefits for advertisers, customers, and broadcasters, and of course the platforms. For advertisers, we've created the ability to buy against targeted and segmented audiences with richer data and dynamically managed campaigns in real time. For customers, the ads that they see are more relevant to them, thus improving their TV viewing experience. We're also able to promote more relevant content to the customers based on what we know they love to watch. And we can keep them up to date on relevant new products and services, reminding them of the value of their QuadPlay subscription. And finally, for broadcasters, the advantages are obvious. Moving to an addressable, dynamic advertising capability will help drive new revenue streams from VOD content, and coupled with the targeting capability and rich data from the platform, drive incremental value from the existing audiences. We see a huge potential in developing this future opportunity further and the benefits it will bring. Virgin Media are investing in the next generation of advertising capability and have recently launched a brand new dynamic ad insertion platform with our partner, Blackarrow. The launch of Blackarrow has been a major initiative for Virgin Media as we invest in bringing the best capability to our platform to meet the future needs of TV VOD monetization. With Blackarrow, Virgin Media can now offer many new digital-like capabilities which have previously been unavailable on TV, such as pacing, frequency capping, and advanced near real-time reporting. Blackarrow's tools bring greater flexibility to our broadcasters and advertisers, while still supporting the standard formats of pre, mid, and post-roll, with seamless transitions between content and ads. Our initial launch has laid the foundation for more advanced addressable advertising using first and third-party data, which will follow in the next 12 months, and enabled the opportunity to insert ads across Virgin Media TV Anywhere later this year. We are really excited to start this journey with Blackarrow. I'm going to hand over to Nick now, who's going to talk more about Blackarrow and their success in the US market, driving increased value from dynamic ad insertion and addressability.
Great. Cool. Thanks, Lynette. Can you all hear me? Great. Thank you. So good afternoon, everybody. As Lynette said, my name is Nick Troiano. I'm the president of Blackarrow, president and CEO, excuse me. And really excited to be here on stage with Virgin. Last December, we had an announcement that we were able to partner with Virgin on their Video on Demand initiative. It was an exciting time for us. We've been predominantly providing services to North America, US, and Canada. And our work with Liberty and certainly Virgin Media was our first step into Europe. And we announced it in December, and we're happy to say we're already live 3 months later. And it's an important point, because I'm going to talk to you not necessarily about Blackarrow, about what we do in general. I'm going to talk about some of the lessons learned that we've experienced over in the United States and in North America, and how we've seen them apply into what we're also working with Virgin today and in the future. The topic is dynamic ad insertion and addressability in general. Blackarrow, for those that don't know, we are a data and technology company focused on what we consider the future of video. It's TV forward. It's not just linear television. It's not just in the home. It's out of the home. And it's an exciting time. I think we all would agree over the last weeks, months, quarters, there's been a lot of change happening in the pay TV industry, whether it's the introduction of Netflix or the ongoing onslaught of Netflix into Europe, or whether it's the on and off again mergers in the pay TV industry in the United States. The television industry, whether it's domestically here, globally, is going through a significant amount of change. And it's through that chaos, I think, that's opportunity. And that's actually what we're here to talk to you guys about, some of those opportunities. In general, when you think about Blackarrow, there's two things I'd like you to know. First is everything we do is to support the pay TV ecosystem. It's not just pay TV providers. Advanced advertising, as Lynette was talking about earlier, is really about the success of advertising on behalf of the inventory holders in conjunction with the agencies to reach an audience for an advertiser. And that's through today the service provider infrastructure, or for large part for the service provider infrastructure. And it's the technology, data, and inventory solutions is what Blackarrow provides. Secondarily, we believe in a notion of all screens, any platform, every audience. Let me explain that for a second. All screens. Every one of us watches on-demand content or live content across multiple devices. That is it's almost, it's an understood requirement. It's not even a nice to have, it's a must have. Everything that Blackarrow does is figuring out how do you actually deliver the right advertising to the right audience across that screen. But more importantly, or just importantly, certainly with working with our partners like Virgin Media, is any platform. The pay TV industry is going through a transition. There's QAM infrastructures, there's next-gen IP infrastructures. We heard earlier talk about from the folks from Time Warner Cable and others about hybrid OTT infrastructures. The point is, from an advertiser or consumer perspective, you don't care. So our job at Blackarrow is to make that transformation from QAM to IP, from old legacy to next-gen seamless. So all screens, any platform. But at the heart of advertising is audience. And that's the third leg of the stool that we focus on. As we reach consumers across these screens and across these platforms, what matters is the consumer and how does that advertising reach that person, and that comes down to data. And we'll talk about that also a little bit later in terms of how data and the convergence of screens and platforms matters to the next generation of pay TV. So a little bit of history of Blackarrow. I mentioned I've been at Blackarrow for 6 years. I came from the digital side. I will tell you, I came into Blackarrow thinking that the pay TV industry was going to change back in 2008. It just made sense. Of course, people were going to move to on-demand. Of course, you're going to time shift. Of course, you're going to watch content when you want to, where you want to. But 6 years later, I stand in front of you with a couple key things. First, everything that we thought was going to happen in 2006, 7, and 8 is happening. It's just happening a lot later. And along those 6 or 7 years, we've made a lot of mistakes. But it's those mistakes that have helped us become more successful. It's those mistakes that have helped make our transition times and our deployment times, like I mentioned with Virgin, what used to be 12 months to launch an operator is now 3 to 6. And that's the evolution that the marketplace needs to actually be successful in this ever-changing ecosystem. From a customer perspective, we cut our teeth on Comcast in 2012. Immediately after Comcast, we signed Time Warner Cable, and then Bright House, and then you'll see a little bit later, you'll add a few more customers in the United States. That's really important because a little bit later today, I'm going to show you about the evolution. Some of the lessons learned about video on demand and dynamic ad insertion is it takes time. We have this saying at Blackarrow, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. So when we talk about evolution of the TV industry, it's taken 6 years to get dynamic ad insertion working in North America. And we're excited about doing the same here at scale with Virgin. We're also, as I mentioned, we expanded into Europe in December, first with Liberty Global and then with Virgin Media. And on the right side of the slide here, as I mentioned, it's an ecosystem partnership. Blackarrow has worked with every major content provider in the United States to enable dynamic ad insertion. 3 years ago, it was 1. And then it increased. And I'll show you a slide about customer growth and acquisition growth of customers. But again, we've got proven deployments, but it's taken some time. The second thing is, what happened in 2014 was a big deal, was a big year for us. 2 things. First, ad requests. The left-hand side of the screen is ad requests. That's the number of ad opportunities that were available across the Blackarrow platform in 2014. That was up from 6.5 billion the year before. So nearly 450% growth in ad requests. An ad request is simply the opportunity to place an ad. And if you think about on-demand television, we're talking about placing an ad in primetime drama content. So massive growth in 2014, and more importantly, 330% growth in impressions. You can see down at the bottom, we crossed the billion impression threshold per month. I'm going to touch on that slide in a second, but we're very excited about the significant growth, and that's being driven because consumers are watching on-demand content. It's the same here. One of the big things that we learned over the last few years is when we tried to come into Europe, we were always told Europe is different than the United States, which is true. There's a lot of differences in terms of measurement, go-to-market strategy, windowing, but one of the truisms, it doesn't matter where you are, is people are time shifting. And in 2014, we kind of cracked the code for advertising, as you can see from our growth. Here's another snapshot. We always talk about hockey sticks. This is a true hockey stick. This is the actual ad impressions, and one thing I want to clarify across our platform. These are ad-viewed impressions. We often get times people compare, sometimes they compare video on demand or set-top box video on demand to digital. If I was to create a corresponding apples-to-apples comparison, you'd have to multiply these impressions by 4. Viewability in the United States ranges between 25 and 30% online. That was a quote from a major executive at Group M last night in New York. I read today in London, in UK, it's about 39%. That's viewable impressions. The difference between on-demand viewing in a pay TV environment versus traditional online, which goes to Lynette's point about value, is there's no viewability issues. And I want to clarify one other thing, because I get this all the time. Just because you have the difference between viewability and pay TV in an environment is the opportunity to view. Online viewability metrics are, when they talk about 39%, that means only 50% of the television ad is available for less than 1 second. That's different. Television ad viewability in television, it's 100% available. You and I may decide to use the loo or lavatory to go use the restroom, but the point is the opportunity. I mentioned this slide, and I show this slide is because it corresponds to something I'll talk about later, which is programmer adoption. Growth in Blackarrow and growth in advertising in the United States was driven by 2 factors, consumer demand and programmer adoption. Moving to the next level, programmer adoption. I didn't want to, when I was talking to Lynette and working through all the things that we've learned and identified in working with Virgin Media and in the States, I wanted to try to come out with kind of 2 key takeaways. What are the 2 big lessons I would say to the audience that we've experienced over the last 6 years that I want to tell you? First and foremost is, and I think you guys all recognize this, dynamic ad insertion is fundamental to the pay TV ecosystem. And when I say DAI, it's not just across set-top box VOD, it's any platform. Because if you can look on this screen, every consumer in that household is watching a different device. And every device has a different experience. And there were some conversations earlier. And how the advertising and programming community embraces that experience has been proven to show benefits to ad impressions and viewability in VOD. Here's an example. One of the things that we introduced in the United States, certainly, and introduced it with Virgin, is this notion of an ad map. You can create, now with Virgin, any kind of advertising experience associated with any platform. So you can see on the top left, it's a short-form commercial. This is what we call short, medium, and long examples of how advertisers are embracing the flexibility. Any one of the programs watched in VOD, the ad map, the ad load, can be dynamically changed by windowing, targeting, time of day, or platform. Why that's fundamental is because if in this audience, if there's anybody on the content side, you realize that the future of television isn't about audience buying, it's the convergence of content and addressability. And how you place the ads in a program stream is fundamental to the engagement. It's as important as the ads itself. It's one of the key lessons that we learned. So one of the things that we introduced with Virgin this year is the ability to do mid-rolls, dynamically insert mid-rolls, and more importantly, report and change out every ad within that stream. And you can see from our examples, we have short, medium, and long form. And what's happened in the United States is, this is a chart that you see of growth of creative assets and channels. The first thing I mentioned earlier today was the growth of programmer adoption. You can see going up. This tracks the hockey stick approach of impressions. In January of 2014, we had 92 distinct channels actually using Blackarrow. Today, we have nearly 300. And along that graph is charting creative assets. And the reason why I put out creative assets is it shows one thing. It shows advertising demand. Advertiser demand. The growth of creative assets is an indication and is a reason because programmers are using the ad map capabilities and the creativity that I mentioned just a second ago. It's a big lesson learned, and I think I would tell you if we charted, I hope to sit and stand in front of you and others perhaps in a year to show the same kind of adoption curve of VOD and TV Anywhere at Virgin Media leveraging the same systems, because I do believe consumers in the United States and in UK and in Europe generally want the same things. They want engaged content on demand when they want to, and they want engaging advertising, or in some instances, a little bit of advertising. And this is one of the key lessons that we learned. The second thing is, which is what Lynette was talking about, which is an interesting discussion, is I like this quote: what gets measured gets managed. We've been pushing video on demand and talking about video on demand for a long time. The currency or the measurement vehicle for that in the United States, while we have seen the uptick, has not been determined. It is not figured out yet. But along the way, that has not stopped programmers, operators, and others to invest in the technology to learn. One of the things that I talk about all the time is there's kind of two pieces that dynamic ad insertion and addressability, the future of TV, that matter. First is what we're bringing to Virgin Media, and Lynette mentioned to this, is the ability to target ads within programs, as I described, at the device level, at the household level, or at the aggregate level. And that is the fundamental of dynamic ad insertion. Before you even get into data, which is the bottom section of this chart, just dynamic ad insertion alone is changing the way television can actually be bought, sold, and consumed. So what that means is you can actually follow users. You can do share shift analysis. How do people consume content across one or many devices, in and out of the home? One of the things that we recently released with Time Warner Cable, one of our customers just recently, is the ability to change ad loads when you're out of the home versus when you're in the home. And that's the top end section of this actual chart. Layer that onto what we heard earlier today, and what Lynette was talking about is addressability. It's one thing to actually know where your audience is moving. It's the other opportunity of addressability, which is even more valuable, is know who that person is or who that household is. And when you think of the convergence of it, it's really programming coupled with ad delivery, coupled with audience data. That's actually what we're bringing to Virgin Media. That's what's deployed. That's what's capable. How it gets rolled out is up to Lynette and the other folks at Virgin Media. But I think it's a really important thing when we talk about marketplace development, the marketplace, the ecosystem in general. There is no perfect answer to audience-based frequency capping forecasting across multiple platforms in some unified view today. But the point is all the data is captured. And it's being captured in a consolidated way. And as I mentioned, in terms of programming growth and acquisition and usage, that's the message, I think. Just like the United States, just like we learned up in Canada, it's about trial and error and understanding how best to use the platform. The benefit is this to measurement is we are producing second-by-second measurement. That second-by-second measurement of program viewing and, more importantly, ad engagement. And we do ad engagement at the actual creative asset level. So if anyone's here on the creative side or the programming or the advertising side, and you want to look and you're creating sponsorship campaigns or unique opportunities to sell against a targeted audience or targeted platform or targeted day part, the data that's going to be coming out of Virgin Media through their VOD and TV Anywhere platform provides you unparalleled insights that in some ways I think supersedes digital, because it's going to be ultimately based on higher viewability rates and de facto data that's coming out of the operator's footprint, which we've all understood which is proven to be a little bit more true than some of the than the veracity of some online targeting capabilities. The net result of this is, for the audience, for our customers, for Virgin Media, and for their ecosystem, it's three things, which we get asked all the time. We don't have a perfect answer of how VOD should be bought and sold. It's still being determined. But one thing is clear. Everyone always asks us. It's a part of the television buy, and one of the things that we'll be able to support with Virgin for you and the audience is the ability to show incremental reach and frequency on top of television using the data sets and the capabilities I just mentioned. That's number one. Number two is the ability to bridge the gap between digital and TV. From a measurement targeting capability, the Virgin Media platform is digital. There's very few things. In fact, I'm not sure what else they can. We are a digital ad server, a digital capability. So we've already bridged it technically. From a business side, I think that's really up to you and the audience in Virgin Media. How do you want to leverage the data? How do you want to account for measurement? What's the use for windowing? What's the use for targeting? How do you want to use profiles? And most importantly, which is the third one, is how do you manage frequency across all the levels of consumption? I started the premise with every one of us, theoretically, we have a home. If you're a pay TV subscriber, you live in a home. But you watch your content on multiple devices, and you watch it in and out of the home. If you're an advertiser or programmer, you are a challenge today. You are the hard-to-reach audience. What Blackarrow is doing as Virgin is providing tools necessary for you and the industry and the ecosystem to reach those hard-to-reach audiences with the specificity and measurement that you demand and you require, ultimately for addressable household targeting and for the right level of attribution. From a summary, I think two quick things. DAI is critical to the pay TV industry. Folks, we've learned people are still trying out opportunities and how to build. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good in terms of starting with this process, because we know one thing for certain, the future is definitely to on-demand television. The consumer has already spoken. And the second thing is DAI in general is where digital meets TV. And I hope to be here perhaps next year to talk again with Lynette and Virgin Media about all the great success we've had. Thank you.